In the heart of the desert lies a doorway to the past, sealed for centuries, untouched by time. But some doors should never be opened. They warned us not to enter. They told us the curse was real. And now, it has awakened. Beneath the burning sands of Egypt, a secret sleeps, wrapped in linen and sealed in stone. But when tombs are disturbed and ancient oaths are broken, the dead do not rest easily. Welcome to Project Black Garden, a Monsters and Myths podcast. Season 2, The Snapdragon Files. Episode 24. File number 142. The Mummy. My name is Michael. Join me for a tale of forbidden tombs, unraveling legends, and the deadly price of disturbing the dead. The mummy is both a real historical phenomenon and a central figure in myth and horror fiction. The origins come from ancient Egypt as the most famous mummies, where mummification was part of elaborate burial practices. It was believed that preserving the body was essential for the soul's journey into the afterlife. Techniques included removing internal organs, drying the body with natron, a natural salt, and wrapping it in specialized linen. Mummification was primarily for royalty and the elite, although commoners also underwent simpler forms of it. In other cultures, mummification wasn't exclusive to Egypt. Cultures in South America, such as the Inca, and in China and even Europe, practice forms of preservation either intentionally or naturally due to environmental conditions. In Peru and Chile, they created some of the world's oldest known mummies, dating back to 5000 BCE. During the 19th century, European explorers and archaeologists unearthed tombs, leading to mummy mania. Mummies were even unwrapped in public spectacles. This led to the rumors of curses and mythical powers associated with these ancient tombs. The mummy's curse popularized after the discovery of King Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922. Several mysterious deaths of people involved in the excavation led to stories of the pharaoh's curse, though scientists and skeptics found this mostly coincidental. It cemented the mummy in Western horror culture as a cursed, vengeful figure. The mummy is often portrayed as a reanimated corpse seeking revenge or guarding sacred treasures, an undead avenger. It is said that mummies can wield ancient spells, plagues, or undead minions, tapping into fear of death and forbidden knowledge. They are sometimes bound by cursed amulets or scrolls that must be destroyed to stop them. Now digging deeper into my great Uncle Samuel's personal files, I have discovered that the origin of the Great Mummy is much older than we ever thought, and not necessarily human. Beneath the bright lights of New York City, inside the halls of the famous Metropolitan Museum of Art, something ancient has awakened. A curse wrapped in ancient linens, and something far older, far stranger, buried within. It began with a single artifact, a sarcophagus sealed for over 4,000 years, carved not just with hieroglyphs, but with something else. Lines and patterns that looked less like words and more like circuits. The museum's management and owners had put on a grand unveiling for their investors in national television newscasts to show off their prized jewel at the museum, the newly discovered mystery pharaoh, Amun Zarish. Apparently, he was a secret pharaoh king recently uncovered on a cursed dig 6 months before. At least 3 people mysteriously died on the excavation of his tomb. Nothing is known about this mysterious pharaoh, other than he may predate any other Egyptian royalty ever. Speeches were made, ceremonies were toasted, and finally, they all leaned in for the grand unveiling. When the crate was opened, cameras flashed and then suddenly went black. Guards screamed, and the sarcophagus split itself wide open with a blinding flash of green light. Within minutes, an elite task force was contacted by what was left of the museum's staff and security. Team 7734. My great-uncle's secret military unit trained to deal with supernatural warfare. My uncle and his team had already been on high alarm just outside the city, knowing these kind of events usually ended badly. It only took them a few minutes to arrive, and they came armed with relic rifles, holy sigils, and experimental disruptors. But even they weren't ready for what crawled out of that tomb. My great-uncle Sam dispatched a small crew into the room to investigate, while he and the rest of his team watched the security camera live feed. It had been damaged in the earlier incident, but still managed to show what was going on in the room. Chaos erupted immediately. Bullets bounced off metal bones. Flamethrowers exploded everywhere, but the fire did nothing. And that's when they first saw the monster. It was taller than they expected, and its body's proportions didn't look exactly human. It was covered in silver and white, tattered ancient linen that seemed to move on its own. The monster dismembered and destroyed the soldiers with violent ease. And then, the dead body parts rose again. Guards, soldiers, wrapped in living bandages, eyes glowing green, bodies twisted into something alien-like. Unbelievably, among the chaos, stood a young woman just outside the room. In her hand, a necklace that had seemed to fuse into her skin. It was glowing brighter with each second. And in that moment, the mummy turned to her, its voice rattling with static and dust. Its eyes met hers, and its head lowered, and it whispered, "Found you." My Uncle Sam realized immediately that she would make things much worse. Without hesitation, he quickly escorted her to a private office on the other side of the museum's enormous lobby. As what was left of his soldiers tried to give him time to figure out what was going on behind that locked door. He sat the woman down at a metal table. She was pale and shaken. He sat across from her, filling with suspicion and now fear. Sam asked her, "You saw what that thing did in the museum. My men died trying to stop it. I need answers. Who are you?" She twitched in place, and he stared at the crazy jewel in her palm and whispered, "What are you?" "My name is Lila Serrano. I'm just me. But that monster, it's like he knew me. It feels like I've been carrying something inside of me my whole life that led me to this museum. To him." Swiftly, my Uncle Sam pulled out a gadget from his pocket and hovered it over her hand in the stone. It immediately turned all kinds of colors, signaling something wasn't right. He said, "That necklace fused to your skin wasn't gold. It's not even stone. This scanner says it's not even human metal. It's not from this earth." She whispered, "I know. When I touched it, I felt memories. Not mine, but memories that were thousands of years old. I saw the sky burning with fire. Weird machines, beautiful and exotic, descending over Egypt. At first, everybody thought they were gods, but they weren't gods. They were something else." My Uncle Sam huffed. "Aliens. Fucking aliens." She agreed, "Yes. They came to make vessels, to test if human flesh could carry their minds. They taught priests how to preserve the body with chemicals, salts, bandages. But it wasn't religion. It was science?" My uncle asked, "And the mummy?" She sat up straight in the chair and continued, "He was the first. A priest who volunteered, or maybe was forced, I'm not sure. They put alien DNA in him, removed his body, but he wasn't supposed to die. He was supposed to host something eternal. Well, that's weird, but it would explain the scans. Apparently, Lila, his cells are fused with metallic strands, self-repairing structures, nanotech, older than our species. I've never seen anything like it." Lila started to shake, but she continued to remember. "But it failed, because his bride was taken from him. The bond wasn't complete. That's why he stayed in that tomb, rotting, half dead, half alive, waiting." Sam leaned forward. "And now he thinks you're her." Lila said nothing and just stared into Sam's eyes. The awkward silence lasted until she softly started to smile and said, "Not thinks, Commander. Knows." Her eyes filled with a deadly green haze. The lights in the room flickered. My Uncle Sam reached for his weapon, but the same deadly bandages appeared from Lila's wrists and began to move, daring him to draw his weapon. My uncle jumped back and yelled, "Shit." And that's when he realized she wasn't just a bystander. She was the descendant of the bride, the missing half of an experiment written into her bloodline. The jewel in her palm lit the room and then the giant lobby in green fire, and Lila began to change. The attack came swiftly and more deadly than the first one. Knowing the bullets had no lasting effect other than maybe slowing the mummy down, my Uncle Sam yelled out to what remained of his team. One word: "Fubar." Immediately, the soldiers dropped everything and started tossing trigger-filled explosive packs along every wall and support beam they could find. Sam and them quickly took cover, and with a flick of a red switch in my uncle's fist, the charges were triggered. First, with an oxygen-sucking implosion that pulled everything in the vicinity into itself before exploding outward in blue and white fire, embedded with streaks of white lightning throughout the carnage. It only lasted a few seconds, but it was devastating. The museum collapsed. Marble and steel crashed down. Soldiers coughed. Radios failed. Dust, fire, silence. And for a brief moment, the few survivors, they thought it was over. But then, a shadow stepped out of the smoke. The mummy, its arm locked with Lila's. Both their bodies pulsing with alien light. Their eyes burning suns. And behind them, hundreds of body parts rising in the rubble, not taking any particular shape, but alive with alien purpose. Only 3 soldiers lived to tell the story. My great Uncle Sam, his best friend and second in command Bowie, and Sergeant Rev. The rescue team barely made it in time with their unmarked helicopters. But sadly, the rest of the soldiers and innocent bystanders, they were consumed. Weeks later, strange reports spread across the city. Families vanishing, green lights in sewers, strange markings carved into walls and sidewalks. But still, to this day, the government denies it all. But as we know, fellow gardeners, some nightmares don't stay buried. And in the dark of New York streets, the bride and her cursed groom seem to be building a new world. Now, my uncle listed this file as one of his failures, and it haunted him till his death. There are some notes that this wasn't the last time he and his team ran into Lila and her beloved hybrid king. But that's a story for another time. Okay, listeners, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Next time, we have a crazy and terrifying file for you. It's not well known, but it's one of the worst files that I've read. I hope you'll join me when we tackle the Jawbreaker. And continue to share all your stories and sightings. I can be reached on any of the socials. Just DM me. TikTok, Instagram, or as always, my personal email, pbgharvest@gmail.com. I would love to share any of your experiences or just discuss what I keep finding in these files, because I'll let you know, We've just scratched the surface. So remember, listeners, my name is Michael, and this has been Project Black Garden, a Monsters and Myths podcast. Season 2, The Snapdragon Files. And remember, monsters are real. And trust me, this story is far from over.